to the first of what we hope is many of the Real Wrestling Shoot video series, and what a way to start it off. Tonight, we are honored to have with us one of the most beloved wrestling personalities on the Gulf Coast. He has wrestled up and down the Florida Panhandle and abroad, different countries. We are very honored and pleased to bring you the shoot interview of Chief Ironclaw, Eddie Pittman. Eddie, thank you for taking time out.
Hey, glad y'all have me here.
First, I guess we're just going to start out and ask, were you a fan of pro wrestling earlier in your life?
Yeah, you know, I remember going to Channel 3 on Mobile Highway when I was a kid. They used to do their TV tapings there, and you know, you could get in free. So that's where I first really cut my teeth on pro wrestling, was as a kid going watching Cowboy Bob Kelly, Don Fargo, you know, Ken Lucas, Real Wrestling Pro, all the Bobby Shane, the list goes on and on.
Wow, you mentioned some pretty good names there. So it's truly the forefathers of professional wrestling.
Oh, true wrestlers.
Now, how long was it after that before you decided, hey, you know, I want to try professional wrestling?
You know, I always watched wrestling on TV, and you know, my granddad used to tell me all the time. I said, Pawpaw, let's watch wrestling tonight. And he's like, man, you know, that stuff is fake. I don't want to watch it. And I said, I really want to watch it. And he's like, okay, if we just got to. And by about the third match, he's cussing the referee. Look at that dirty joker. He's crooked. Look at that. You know, so even my granddaddy, who said it was fake, got caught up in it.
Right.
So, you know, it was, I kept up with pro wrestling, but it was, I was in college and I got out and I was playing super open softball, which is equivalent to pro softball. And I was getting paid, and I was in the gym. Well, I went by and saw Rip Tyler. He coached against me. I played at Bellevue, he coached at Brent. And I went by, and Mr. Tyler had started WOW. And he was like, oh man, Eddie, look at the size of you, man. You're just right for the business. Come on, let me train you. And I was like, nope, don't want to wrestle.
Right.
And he's like, come on, man, let me train you. Come on. I was like, nope, don't want to wrestle. But I was at Pensacola Health Club, and out of the blue, Sika come up to me one day, and he's like, hey, brother, are you a wrestler? I was like, nope. He said, do you want to be? And I was like, nope. Okay. So probably, you know, a couple of weeks later, Sika comes up and does the same thing. And I was like, I had a wild hair, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's train. So that's how I really got into wrestling.
Now, I heard you mention playing softball. Were you an athlete in high school and college, or?
Yeah, I played college. I played college baseball, college football. Was drafted in '79 by St. Louis Cardinals for a loaf of bread and a pack of cheese. Right. So, you know, yeah, pretty much I just come on home. I was tired of being broke. I was broke all through college. And so I started playing softball and went to work at the sheriff's department. And really was making good money playing softball. So wrestling just never really weighed into what I was doing.
Right. Now, you were mentioning your training. How did that go? Was that something that came naturally to you, or is it something you had to work at? Or?
Well, you know, training. This is a big part of wrestling.
Absolutely.
Training. And you know, I said I ain't going to be ugly. I'm not going to be ugly. I have no respect for backyarders. You need to be trained by a professional wrestler. Note the word in front of it. Professional wrestling. You know, it don't say I was trained over there in Podunkville behind a trailer in a ring by some jabroni that's never been trained.
Right.
You know, yeah, training come easy to me because I was a big person and I was athletic. So, but it was hard. But I had great teachers. Great teachers.
Right, and I think that's important. I think a lot of the people, just in my opinion, teaching the youngsters today, maybe skip a few things. You know, you're having a great teacher is essential, I think.
Oh, you know, I had many teachers, and I was really fortunate. Sika broke me in and showed me how to bump and roll and all that stuff, which didn't take long because I was athletic. But then Yokozuna, Big Rod, the Great Coquina, I wrestled Rodney or Yokozuna more than anybody I've ever wrestled, and me. I mean, we was two big people, and I learned so much from Rodney. You know, people think just because you're a big guy, you don't know how to. You know, that gives you an excuse not to know how to work. Let me tell you something. Rodney was 600 pounds, 550 pounds back then, and he was just wonderful. He didn't beat up on you. He was a teacher. You know, it's like when you play college football. They sign you out of high school because they know you can hit. So during 2 days, yeah, you hit, you know, and they bust your ass. But then after 2 days is over, it's more about teaching. I have that same philosophy when I teach. When I first get you in the ring, I'm going to beat pure hell out of you. And it's for your own protection, and it's for your protection of who you're working. You know, then after we get that out of the way, it's more about teaching. The psychology of wrestling, which that has been just thrown out the window. Right. No psychology.
I agree. Now, how long would you say your basic training took?
Really, with me, it wasn't. It was probably 2 months, and being as big as I was put in there with the top guys that pretty much carried me. Right. and taught me, you know, as I went along. But I did a couple of shows for Continental right when they was fading out, and then I run with Sika, you know, with the World Wrestling family.
Right. I wanted to back up. Do you remember what your first match was?
My first match was, who did I have my first match with? I think it was the Great Coquina.
Wow. And how did that go?
It went good. He carried me. You know, he made me look like $1 million.
Right.
You know, check your egos at the door, gentlemen. I was like, because, you know, Rodney, he just beat pure hell out of me, and he gave me mine, but he always put me over at the end. You're talking about a WWF champion that put me over like $1 million. That's a professional.
All right. Now, you were just starting to talk about the World Wrestling Family. I believe you said that organization was run by Sika.
Yeah, you know, I was Sika's, I reckon, his top student back then, and Sika was still in his heyday. And listen to this crew we had. There was Sika and Alpha, Rikishi, Junior Fatu, Big Sam, Alpha's son. There was the Samoan SWAT team back then. Bob Holly, Marcel Pringle, Pat Rose. Who else am I leaving out? I mean, it was the Tonga Kid, Little Sam. And then we had guest appearances, you know, weekly by, I mean, superstars. We had a WWF crew right there on Patricia Avenue. It was just, and me and Marcel Pringle, we talk about it all the time. And Marcel says, you know, I wrestled in a lot of places, he said, but that was undoubtedly the best crew I've ever been a part of. And it was just wonderful. Great workers, good locker room. You know, we wrestled every week on Patricia Avenue. And this is what me and Bobby's trying to bring back at Ultimate. When you're in that locker room, I mean, you know, you work in a plant. You work with the same guys, you know, every day. You become family. They know about what's going on with your family. That's how it should be in a locker room. You're a family. You're not, you check your egos at the door, you're a family. Who cares? If me and you can make money together, you know, that's great. Who cares who wins? As long as we make money, because it's a business. Business. It's not a hobby. It's a business. And you know, that's what this Gulf Coast is just littered, you know, with people running shows. And let me take that back. Event. No, it's shows with them. But you know, the proper word is events.
Right. I know that's a pet peeve with you.
Oh yeah. It's, you know, it's a business. You know, everybody knows that Vince has got all the money, and it's the same old scenario. You got money, you make money. But you know, talking about some of the guys down here, there's a lot of good workers down here that gets overlooked because we're here in the South. And to be honest with you, you have a good worker, take for instance like Kobe Godwin. Kobe's a good worker. But unfortunately, there's not enough good workers for him to work, for him to really get to this level, you know. And it's nothing against Kobe, it's just, we just don't have a flood of real good workers here. So, you know, and I'm not a fan of the small worker.
Right.
You know, and nothing against you little fellers, but if we go to a horror movie and we're sitting there, and after about the 30 minutes into the movie, we done figured out we can kill Jason or Freddy Krueger, it's no longer interesting to us. Now, if I'm sitting there in the bleachers and some kid comes walking out there 150 pounds and got arms I saw bigger arms on a clock, you know, we're not intimidated by that. I mean, when I was a kid and I was watching wrestling, when I saw Sika in them, I was like, oh my, I would not want to be caught up with them. That's intimidation. That's what you want. It's entertainment. I'm not entertained by some little puny guy going out there doing a 360 off the top. I can go to the circus and see that. That's a show.
Right. Now, look, we're getting off track, but I'm going to have to ask you, how important, you know, I've noticed this locally, how important is proper wrestling gear for one of the boys that says they're a wrestler? I mean, you see some guys come out with sneakers on and shorts.
That's garbage. Once again, the word pro. You know, if you're going to invest the time in going in there and bumping and getting hell beat out of you, at least buy you some boots. I will respect you if you can't work, but at least you got boots on. You know, with me and Chris Cody went to a show in Alabama a few years ago, and some idiot come out there wearing baseball spikes.
Wow.
You know, I was like, look at this fool.
Okay, well let's back up. You were talking about you were doing the World Wrestling Family. What take us through what happened there? Where did you go next? Because I know you did some time overseas and. Yeah,
you know, I got caught up with a group out of New York, part of the WWF group. Mr. Haney, S.D. Jones, Special Delivery Jones, and Alpha got me my first booking overseas. It was in the Middle East, and then I run back and forth over to Europe. I never got to go to Asia, but I did my time over the Middle East in Europe, in Puerto Rico, and really didn't put as much emphasis over here as I should. You know, I was not the best worker, but I wasn't the worst. I was a big guy. I was 308 pounds with a 36-inch waist, and I was good to look at. I wasn't the best worker, like I said, but I could get by.
How did they draw over there? How were the crowds?
Oh, Middle East?
Yes.
Biggest crowd we had was 70,000. That
Wow.
was in India, and then it went from there on. You know, it was sellout in soccer fields, and I think the smallest crowd there was like 38,000, but still a sellout.
Right, absolutely. So professional wrestling was really big over there, I guess.
Yeah, but you know, I was over in the Middle East, and the people treated me good. I didn't win a match in the Middle East. We went over there, and actually, anytime you go somewhere, you know, they want to try to make the Americans look weak, because we was wrestling against Pakistan wrestlers, wrestlers from India, and our guys was over there, you know, with the show and tell like we're used to seeing. And the promoter come to me and he said, Indian, you know, lay them in. So I lost every match by DQ. But I got fan mail for 2 years when I come home.
Wow. That is out of control. Well, I think we have to take a break, but we're going to be right back with the shoot interview of Chief Ironclaw, Eddie Pittman.